Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Yesterday we talked about that when Abdul Muttalib as a young man came in power, his own uncle Nawfal went against him. This happened after the passing away of Abdul Muttalib's uncle Muttalib. And Hashim, of course, the father of Abdul Muttalib, passed away before Abdul Muttalib was even born. So passing away of Muttalib and Abdul Muttalib becoming in charge of several areas that were created by Qusay, Nawfal became extremely jealous, and we talked about the details of how Abdul Muttalib regained the power back. Now let's go to the life of Hashim. As I told you, something happened during the life of Hashim as well. Hashim, the father of Abdul Muttalib. Now remember, Hashim died at a very young age. He probably was in his 30s when he died. So after Hashim's father Abd Manaf, the job was distributed among the sons. That was Hashim, Abdul Shams, and Muttalib, and Nawfal probably had some part in it. But what happened was, Hashim's own nephew Umayyah became jealous of Hashim, and he started plotting against Hashim. And this Umayyah is the same guy who is from the children of Abd Manaf, but after him, the Banu Umayyah are called Banu Umayyah. You probably might have heard the name in English, the Umayyad Dynasty, which came in power after Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu and after Sayyidina Hassan radiallahu anhu. After the office of caliphate for 30 years, it shifted into a kingship. And all the kings in the Umayyad dynasty were from Banu Umayyah tribe, starting with Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. After him, his son Yazid sat. When Yazid died, Yazid's son was also called Muawiyah. He became the king. He was probably 19, 20 years old. In few months, he stepped down and he said, I do not want to take care of any of the affairs of the government. And the government was then passed on to Marwan bin al-Hakam, another person from Banu Umayyah, from the Umayyah tribe. And after Marwan bin al-Hakam, it went to his son Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, and from there on it went to there's his son, and at one point in time his nephew Umar bin Abdul Aziz, but it stayed within the Marwan's family, the Marwanites, which is also a sub-branch of Banu Umayyah. So Muawiyah radiallahu anhu is the son of Abu Sufyan, who accepted after accepting Islam after the conquest of Makkah, is called also Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu. And then Abu Sufyan, Muawiyah is the son of Abu Sufyan is the son of Harab, and Harab is the son of Umayyah. So Abu Sufyan is the grandson of Umayyah. So Umayyah is a nephew of Hashim. Hashim, who is the great-grandfather of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all of these people are from the branch of Abd Manaf. So one son Hashim, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is from, and another son of Abd Manaf called Abdul Shams, that's where Abu Sufyan is from. So Banu Umayyah is from Umayyah, just so that you guys know why Banu Umayyah are called Banu Umayyah, because they are the descendants of this person named Umayyah. So Umayyah turned against his own uncle Hashim. He became jealous of Hashim. Another thing that's reported in some of the books, for example, As-Sirah An-Nabawiyya by Zaini Dahlan, in volume number 1, it talks about when Hashim was born, he was born along with Abdul Shams. They were twins. And they were born such that Hashim's foot was connected at some point with Abdul Shams' head. So they had to use sharp objects to separate them. And that's when Arabs started saying that later on their kids may have feud or may have some kind of rivalry among themselves. But anyway, this was a saying of the Arabs back then. Moving forward, Abdul Shams' son Umayyah started having ill feelings against Hashim, and people started telling Umayyah, you must stop. You know, he's your uncle at the end of the day. He's a nice person. He spends so much. Of course, people are going to love him. He does selfless efforts, and you just want honor. But Umayyah wanted to challenge his own uncle. And this kind of a challenge was a very different kind of a challenge. This challenge was called the challenge of mafakhir. means they would gather someplace and both parties will bring some men and they would have a challenge of who can defeat who in verbally, in poem, in speeches, in eloquence, in leadership, different kinds of criteria. So Umayyah started challenging his uncle. Now Hashim did not want it to get into this challenge, but people forced Hashim that if you do not accept it, people may think that you're a coward. You think that you have shortcomings. You cannot defend yourself well enough. So Hashim finally agreed. And the Hashim said, وَقَالَ هاشم لأمية أنافرك على 50 ناقة سود الحرق. So this challenge is such that the challenge is on 50 black-eyed camels will be sacrificed by the loser. And on top of that, whoever loses have to leave Mecca for 10 years. 10 سنين you have to leave Mecca. تنحر بمكة والجلاء عن مكة 20. So سود الحرق تنحر بمكة. So 50 camels with black eyes will be slaughtered in Mecca. تنحر بمكة والجلاء عن مكة 10 سنين. So you have to leave Mecca and go somewhere else for 10 years. And Umayyah said, okay, that's fine. I agree to it. Because Umayyah is thinking that he was going to win. Because he's so is full of himself. So what they did, they decided to pick somebody as a mediator between the two of them. So there was a man, Asfan. He was a kahin. I already told you who kahins are. From Al-Khuza'ah, from Banu Umayyah. He was from Umayyah, and he basically became a mediator or a judge of the competition. So both parties or both individuals came in front of him, and the competition started. And at the end, he said a very important statement as reported in Sirah al-Nabawiyya by Zaini Dahlan in volume 1, page number 27. He says, this judge Asfan said, وَالْقَمَرُ الْبَاهِرُ وَالْكَوْكَبُ الظَّاهِرُ وَالْغَمَامُ الْمَاطِرُ وَمَا بِالْجَوِّ مِنْ طَائِرِ لَقَدْ سَبَقَ هاشم أمية على مفاخر. That he used some words that are used in Arabic language, by the sparkling moon, and by the sparkling stars or lighting stars, or the clouds that rain, or by the birds that fly. Indeed, Hashim has won the competition and Umayyah has lost the competition. So upon losing the competition, Umayyah left Makkah for 10 years and he went into wilderness, into Syria, and nobody knew what happened to him for 10 years, and he stayed there. He exiled himself out of the Makkah, and Hashim slaughtered the 50 black-eyed camels and distributed the meat to all the people, needy, poor, all kinds of people he distributed, and everybody became such a big fan of him again. And that's how he regained all the offices, and he maintained it, and nobody would dare to challenge him after that. And also, back in those days in Quraysh, in the Jahiliyyah time, there was a very strange custom of ihtifad. And what would that be? That anybody who is needy and poor and they didn't have any means to survive, they would go out in the middle of the desert and camp out there and stay there on hunger till they die. Nobody would help them and they will die. When Hashim came to know about this, he said, that's nonsense. He said, يا معشر قريش إن العزة مع كثرة العدد وقد أصبحتم أكثر العرب أموالا وأعزهم نفرا. What are you doing? This honor is with the men, and you're losing these men for no reason. So the people said, okay, Hashim, what should we do about this? And he said, I have a solution for your problem. How about those of you who are rich should be the caretaker of 2 poor families, and those 2 poor families will work for you in your caravan, and you will pay them from the profits that you make. So this is basically what allowed people to stay in Makkah even their poverty days, and they would work for those people who are wealthy in their caravan. They will help them out. And of course, they knew that they will be getting a share out of it. So they would work hard and they would give their 100%. And as a result, the other people who are wealthy didn't have to work as much hard enough. And the wealth was distributed among the families. So everybody, it was a great deal. And this is reported in Subul Huda wal Rishad في سيرة خير العباد, volume number 1, page 317. We'll talk more about what else Hashim did and some more stories, but next time. Till then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.